So some tape, have that ready because we're going to start out with taping first. But at least this, you have your glazes all put together. You're going to need your pattern and a pencil or a marker.
I like this project because, and you'll see as we go along and as Teddy teaches, this is one of those that you think, oh, I know how they did it. And then I was doing it, I was like, oh, it's one of those. It's like an aha, I got it.
Okay.
Super fun.
All right. I have my plate already taped, but I'm going to walk it through on the one that's done just because I didn't get another piece of bisque. Plus, Krista's got a little slideshow here where I took pictures of step-by-step process, okay? So you have your supplies together. You're going to get your pattern and you want to cut out the pattern. It doesn't matter if you want a different word, just go ahead and cut out this little sunshine. I cut it on the outside of the line. And we're going to do the plate, but you could see how cute it looks if you have a set with a mug, a salad plate, and so on. And we gave you 3 different wordings that you can put on here. So that'll be artist choice when we get to that: bright, happy, shine, or put whatever you want on there. So what I did next is I laid it on my plate and I make sure you put the flat part down at the base of the plate. And then you're going to take your pencil and just draw a line around it so that you have your circle. Okay. So I'm going to put this here, trace around it. I have my pencil line right here. Keep this pattern because we'll use it later if you're going to use shine. If not, we'll use the other patterns. Okay. So once you have that on there, now what we're going to do is we're going to start taping this off. So I've got my circle. I'm going to take my tape and you want to start with the first right in the center. So I kind of just eyeballed my sun, put my tape down. And you can bring it down to, I actually took my tape below the sun so that I know that I didn't have any gaps and, you know, I'm just ripping it off. Okay. So we're going to start laying this down. And then if you are a type A, very detailed person, you can get a plate divider and divide this out, or you can measure it. I just eyeballed it. All right. So then I just kind of came over to my next one because I'm going to put that down there, lay down my tape. I do highly recommend that you kind of take your thumb or your nail or whatever and really smooth that down. You don't want any bubbles or any wrinkles so that the glaze seeps underneath it. This tape is our masking tool right now. Okay. So if you want bigger sun rays, you can space them out a little bit wider. Oh, right here, it's going to go underneath there. So I'm going to definitely work on that. All right. So just keep going. Bring your tape down where it actually goes down into the sun part. All right. So you can see, just keep going until you have all of your sun rays on there. And I'm going to go back on my plate and make sure that my edges are down because we're using this as a masking tool. Especially right here on the edges, it's easy for it to bubble up or not be tight. So I'm really going to make sure that's good. That way I have crisp lines in between. Okay. I'm going to different forms, and that's fine. It's all about the learning. Okay, so with this tape, you know that you just can't do a circle. That's all there is to it. So what we did on this is we just tore off little bits and pieces and then started going around again on the outside of the line. We put the tape in little bits and pieces as it went all the way around here, and like right there, I didn't have it very good. So I'm going to add another little bit and then just fill that in over your sun rays. So we should have some nice lines when we pull this tape off. Where the tape is going to be white. We're going to add, that's where the sheer foundation shears come into place to play, is we're going to be putting that over the white areas. Okay, so just tear off little bits and pieces. Mine are no longer than maybe an inch, inch and a half, because that way it makes it easier to make a circle without any gaps on it. Clean that up a little bit, put a little bit right there. And in the email, we're going to send you some pictures that you can use for marketing, but we're also going to include some marketing photos of all of these projects that you can use for your business if you're going to do workshops, classes, or offering this project. That way, the photography is already done for you. All you need to do is just drop in maybe some text on when you're offering it, the price, and so on. So just keep taping until you get all of this done. This project, I really think, would be a good kids workshop if you do work with children, just because of the taping, and it fills in some time. It works on motor skills. And it also is just fine for adults. I think it's a really cute plate that kind of transcends any age. It'd be a cute Mother's Day project. We want cantaloupe, which is totally one of my favorites. Butter me up. Oh, picked up the wrong one. Butter me up, buttercup. Tiger tail. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Looks like I forgot to pull tiger tail myself. Okay, if you have tiger tail, get it out. And peekaboo. I'm gonna have to run out to the garage and see if I have it. Do we use Cracker Jack brand in here? Yes, we do. I may not have any. All right, so those are
the mug and, sorry, will you show the mug and plate again, please, the finished ones?
Sure. Like, where did I put it?
I'll put my finished one on my screen and spotlight it for a little bit too.
And then, you know, I'm sitting in one place. You wouldn't think I could lose something that quickly. And here's the salad plate. Makes a cute set. I highly recommend whenever you offer something to have a complete setting like this. It is like a silent salesperson saying, paint more than one piece. If you do a workshop, the plate, of course, is fun because it's a nice large size, but showing it how you can make an entire setting will increase your sales. And what's nice is you're not using a lot of glaze of any certain color, okay? Yeah, the base color that we're using on here is cantaloupe, which is this color, this brighter color. Butter me up is the yellow. Tiger tail is the brown here. And then peekaboo is the pink. So these are all the rays that we're using, okay, for the background. The other colors, which I'm not going to show out just yet, are for the dots. So those are the 4 colors you want right now: cantaloupe, butter me up, tiger tail, and peekaboo. I'm going to have to go look for tiger tail or fake it during this project. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start painting the sun rays. Try to alternate also. You don't want two orange next to each other. So you have the four colors. You can see that we went with tiger tail, pinka dot, cantaloupe, and then butter me up, and then kept going that direction. All right. So alternate your rays. If you have your script liner, this is the brush that I use the most. If you don't, a round filler will work fine. Depends on what you're using. The reason in all of our sessions, Mako is going to have this script liner is because look at how long those bristles are. This brush is meant to hold a lot of glaze. Okay, that allows you to do nice long brush strokes. I'm getting my palette all together here. I'm right-handed, so I tend to put my glaze on the right side so that I'm not crossing over, and that's when you can drip some glaze on here. So let's say with Pinka Dot, make sure you guys always shake these up. Stroke and coat is a fairly thick, the viscosity is a little bit thicker than you're going to find with other glazes. That allows you to get complete opacity, solid color with just 3 coats, okay? If you have to put 4 and 5 coats on, it's going to cost you a lot more. So what we're going to do is we're going to load this brush very full, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start here just because I want to do nice long brush strokes. I typically start at the smallest part and pull towards me. So you're going to lay your brush down, you're going to pull it towards you, and a nice long brush stroke. I flip my brush over because there's a lot of glaze on that other side, and then I reload. So you want to do nice long brush strokes, laying down your glaze, again, flowing brush strokes, not little short choppy ones. Now, I was running out of glaze when I got to the end of it, so I am kind of futzying a little bit, but I'm still doing nice long brush strokes. I'm not going to worry very much about my edge right now, because if you see on the sample, we used black on the back and we brought that edge up, black around the edge. That really adds a nice border, like we're framing our artwork, and I like that contrast. So I have 1 coat on there. And what I'm going to do is probably do all my pinks. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here would be my other pink. So if you wanted to, you could take a pencil and mark either the color number or put P for pink, Y for yellow, you know, whatever you want to do, so you know where you're going to lay down the glaze. Pencil will burn off. But even knowing that it's supposed to burn off, I sketch lightly because some pencils have been processed with a reclaimed product, and sometimes they're a little waxier and they don't always give you a clean burn off. They might leave a little bit of a line there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So long brush strokes. That's why I love this brush. It holds a lot of glaze. You can really lay down your brush, loaded full of glaze. So I'm just going to go ahead and do those, leave them alone, and then do my other coats. And then I'll come back and get my second coat on each one. Again, this is where if you have a fan, it's a good thing because you can set this under a fan. Mako never recommends using heat to dry the glaze. It can dry the surface first, leaving the interior wet so that it can crack. So ambient room temperature. Shaking these up. Hey, this is another cool thing, you guys. Mako overfills the bottle. So this is an 8-ounce bottle. You're going to have at least a half an ounce or even more extra in the bottle all the time. We always overfill to make sure that when we're shipping and packing and all of that stuff, you're not losing anything. So you're gaining a little bit extra. So alternate these however you want. I'm kind of doing mine wonky, but I wanted to show you the long brush strokes first. So Stroke and Coat was developed in response to the paint your own pottery market. People wanted a glaze that looked like what it was going to fire to. Because like when I was in high school, everything was iron oxide red. It didn't matter if it was black, if it was going to be purple, you just didn't know what it was going to be. So it's kind of like we took an underglaze and added clear glaze or a frit to it. That's why we call it the Wonder Glaze, because it works so well on so many different surfaces. So now when you're painting, you know that this is going to be yellow. Again, it is a fritted glaze, it has glass in it. If you have 3 coats of glaze over your entire piece of bisque, you can skip putting clear glaze on it. This plate has no clear glaze on it. We used our foundation shears and Stroke and Coat, and look at that gloss. This is completely encapsulated with glaze. The back of it, glossy also. Okay, now, depending on what you're doing, sometimes you don't know if the customer got 3 good coats on there, because quite frankly, I can't tell the difference between 2 coats and 3 coats when somebody has it on there, especially if they're a heavy glazer. I mean, we all have a different touch, right? So usually I say, when in doubt, put another coat on it. 4 coats is not going to hurt anything. Let's see, anybody have?
Although I do find that when we emphasize 3 coats, people just waste so much paint. Like I'm happier to just say 2 or 3 good coats and dip it. Does that make sense?
Totally up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sometimes, I mean, it's never going to work. I don't know how many times I'd say do the front, the back, every piece of it, and then you pick it up and the back wasn't touched, and you're just like, seriously. Yeah. I did start handing the bisque to customers upside down, because if I had them work on the back first, they kind of got all of the brush strokes worked out, and then they were happier with the front, and it also helped me. But you know, there's just times that you're just like, you're just going to dip it. You may not ever be able to get away with it, but if you're in a workshop, how nice is it if you have everybody do it, because you can monitor it a little bit and the workshop is over and it goes straight in the kiln.
Yep.
You know, I like foundations also for the large pieces, especially if it's 3 or 4 generations of handprints. I don't want that dip line in the center of it. So if I have them base coat everything with foundations and then the handprints directly on there, I know it's going to come out a lot better.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, so there's room for it everywhere. It may just not be everything. But having said that, I've opened up studios with no dip tank at all. They just have some brush on to touch up, because they opened up with foundations and they had their customers taught from the beginning. So if you were like me, who'd been open for several years, and then you were going to try to switch your people, it wasn't quite as effective as starting out from the very beginning.
I find it easier if there is a base coat, when someone makes a mistake, especially with black or dark color, it's so much easier to shave off that mistake as opposed to them just doing it on the bisque.
Yes.
So yeah.
You can lift off the boo-boo a lot easier. Well, and also I have found that if you have clear glaze and then you want to add another coat on there, because I am notorious for not getting enough glaze with 2 coats. I just don't have that touch. And invariably I try to do it with 2 coats. I can go back with foundation to put in a 3rd coat over it and refire it if there's no clear glaze on it. Okay, you were asking what is the number of the brush. So if you're talking about a script liner, this is the CB 106. To tell you the truth, if you're doing your own work, I think the CBs are great because you can monitor it. I like the RB reflection brush line better, which is the clear handles, because if people leave their brushes in the water, which they do, you know, the plastic is not going to absorb moisture and then crack all the paint off of your brushes. So they just look nicer, longer. We have the same size brushes in both lines. The reflection brush is my favorite. So this one fan brush is an RB 144. It's a number 4. But I also have a big old Mambo RB 140, which is an 8. Look at the difference. So if you're really doing a large area, this one is very nice, the number 8. Just depends on what you're doing. And then we even had an itty bitty baby one, I think we still do, for smaller areas, but you want to get good coverage. And I can't read that at all. It is on Mako's website, but there are 3 different sizes of fan brushes. Typically in our workshops, we use the RB 144 the most.
Teddy, I have a question for you about stroke and coat.
Good.
Is stroke and coat something that you can blend colors together with? We're doing a sun, so I'm thinking sunset.
Oh, definitely. These are intermixable. They're blendable. You can do one coat and even add some water to stroke and coat and turn it into a watercolor. And then you're definitely going to want to clear glaze it, because you're not going to have enough glaze on there to make it dinnerware safe. So you definitely want to do that. But 2 coats is semi-opaque. And 3 coats, you should have good opacity. The biggest thing is, you know, for people that, I always say Susie's soccer mom, you know, she's just coming in for something fun. When they paint or put the glaze, a lot of people do this. They do these short little choppy brush strokes. You're not laying down a good coat of glaze on there. So that's where you, as the instructor, artist, teacher, whatever you want to call yourself, want to show them the proper brush. Like Krista was saying, a lot of people want to use a square shader. Well, it says it right there in the name. It's a shader. It's not meant for laying down a base coat of glaze. It doesn't hold much glaze because it's short bristles in the ferrule. It's not like this brush that is meant to do a lot. Thank you for asking questions. Please do, you guys. I want to make sure.
So the round brush is good for laying down then?
Yeah, a lot of people are very used to using the rounds. I'm trying to find one here. Here's one.
I'm using one.
Okay, my demon dog Dylan got hold of this. You guys probably see me post about that little beast all the time. This, well, let me show you. So I'm gonna, it doesn't lay down as nicely as the script liner because it is shorter bristled. It's really meant for design work, but it does hold a good amount of glaze. So I'm really kind of getting a decent background, but it's not laying it down as thick. Can you see the difference? This is my one coat with my script liner. This is the one coat with the round filler. It just doesn't lay down a good base coat. Like, look at the difference, just because of the way this is meant to hold a lot of glaze.
Okay.
I don't know where I got this brush from, but I've got like a rounded brush that's got the same bristles as you have in the fan brushes. And I find this really good for doing narrowish laying down like we've got between the paint. So I don't let the customers use it. It's mine. As I say, I don't know where I got it from, but it really is a good brush.
That's funny. Yeah, I could have taken this tiny little one and done laying down because it holds a lot of glaze. I could have done that as well. I know, once we get a brush that we like, we kind of hide them, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Teddy.
What?
Hi, this is Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
Hey, I have a really good example of the blending of the stroke and coats if the lady would like to see it to make a sunset. And I think it's already on your Facebook page, but have you seen it?
Crystal's looking for you.
Okay, it's your elephant. And I think because Adam had me sign a paper to put it on the website, but this is, if you can get me where you can see me, I'll start my video here.
Okay.
Hang on.
Just a
Can you
second.
see me now?
No, not yet.
Oh, I see her. She's
Okay.
after
Green.
amaryllis.
You spotlighter.
Okay.
Okay.
Add spotlight, Krista.
Mm-hmm.
There we
you
go. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it. Oh, thanks, Kathy.
This is all stroke and coat blended together to get that sunset on this elephant.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's on your page. I know Adam had me sign a release so you guys could use it.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
But there's one side of him. There's his face, and see how it turned pink up here where I mixed the colors together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's not a color, it's a mix. And then there you go again with the other side of him.
Now, did you
I love
clear
it.
glaze yours or is it just stroke and coat?
Now, this one is clear glazed because
Okay.
I had some places that it's really, really thin to get my sun effect. So I did clear glazing because I have some places where he's really thin with the stroke and coat
Okay.
to get him to get the effect I want him.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, and that's fine if you do because you were blending and watercolorish, so then you clear glaze it. So if you're never
Okay.
sure, you can just go ahead and put clear glaze. But you know, like this class, once we're finished with it, it just goes directly in the kiln. It does not have to be clear glazed.
Kathy, we're digging your, we're digging your wall. Rachel commented as well. Everybody's
Oh.
saying they like your wall. Very fun.
Thank you. I don't have to put it in a backdrop. I already have one. Here, I'll turn it.
That's
so you can see
right.
more of it. There you go.
That's funny. I
You
didn't.
can't
That's
see
awesome.
the best part because the best part is I accidentally, and I know Teddy and you are old enough to understand. Remember when we were kids and we would just draw?
Yes.
That's what we did. And
Yeah.
you can't see it, but on the other wall over there, we randomly
there it is.
accidentally came out with a big eyeball. And we have it painted like a big eyeball looking up at the sky.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey,
That is cool. I didn't even really notice that because I was busy looking at it. That's fun.
Yeah, it's one of those like we did when we were kids where we just randomly took a pencil and started drawing all over the wall.
Hey, I'm going to show y'all something that's along those lines. I'm going to spotlight myself while we're doing. This is the same kind of idea. We did this mug for Mother's Day. And so we did the letters and like bubble letters, and then we did those little lines, but they extended outside. And then you could fill in the colors. We did that for Father's Day too.
So pretty.
Yeah, so that's Kathy's idea for her wall can totally work on pottery too. Quite fun. These are on our website too. Okay. Plug for the website. There you go. Goodbye.
Okay,
Back
I'm
to Teddy.
bummed. I wish I knew where my tiger tail was. I might have to. You guys keep painting, glazing. I'm going to look for that because what we're going to do is once you get your 2 coats on everything, we're going to remove the tape. So I want to go find my tiger tail or something similar so I can finish this. And I need to get my 2nd coat. So what Mako considers dry is when the shine is off the glaze. It doesn't have to be bone dry. So this cantaloupe, you can see there's no gloss to it. All of these are ready to go. Here you can see it's still a little damp, but it's drier here. It doesn't have to be bone dry. We want a little bit of dampness so that it has a tooth to grab hold of that 2nd coat. Now we're not doing 3 coats on this because we don't want it to be completely perfectly solid. It would be kind of flat. So by having 2 coats of each of these colors, we have a little randomness. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put my 2nd coats on here. So I'm going to try to keep up with you guys. You're probably ahead of me now. Let me know if you guys have any questions about stroke and coat. Stroke and coat can be your base coat, but because of the viscosity, it doesn't flow on as easily as foundations does. Foundations, like I said, was meant to be your base coat, your foundation to your artwork, and to really flow on, dry quicker, goes on smoother, and it allows you to get to the really fun decorating part sooner, which is using your stroke and coat. I might be crazy, but I think stroke and coat looks a lot better on top of foundations than it does on top of itself. But not all foundations, glazes match stroke and coat. When we first started out, we had some matching going on. Like hot tamale is red in foundations, but there are some colors in stroke and coat that are not in foundations for matching purposes. All right, I couldn't find tiger tail, so bear with me as I use cutie pie coral because it was the first color I could find. Or maybe not. That was the
Bear
box.
might be a good option if you have that.
I think it'll look kind of pretty.
True. All different options.
Yeah. This could be pretty in a lot of different colors also.
You know, somebody was asking about the mug, if it had the sun on the other side. You could totally do the sun on the very bottom, or the word shine, I should say. Or you could do it like on just one part of the other side of the mug. That'd be kind of cool. Or have it like in the opposite the handle and have the rays come up from there. That would be a fun way to do it too.
Yeah, that's what I like about this is we kind of provide some inspiration, and I love to see how you guys make it your own.
Yeah, me too. That's one thing I miss about in-person events, you know, besides getting to talk to everybody, is walking around and seeing all the different ways people interpret what we're showing. And that's the whole point. You get the technique, then you take it and make it your own.
Yep. I'm trying to catch up. I hope everybody's still glazing.
Yep, everybody's been being very good little students. I would have taken names. We really had fun coming up with these projects because, as Teddy said earlier, we wanted to make sure that they were, you know, unique enough that you could teach them in the class, or that people could, you know, would want to come in and do them and they were fun, and something you could enjoy while you're here, but also something that you can take and make it for a walk-in, make it for a camp, you know, something really easy to teach, but you can't necessarily figure it out by looking at it. Like this one kind of threw me off when I first looked at it. I was like, well, how'd you do it? Looks easy.
Right.
How are we doing the middle bit where it says shine on your plate? Are we painting that yet?
Yeah, so what you're going to do when you have both coats on your rays and it's set up a little bit, but you don't want it to be completely dry, go ahead and take the tape off, because you don't want to leave the tape on there till it's completely dry. The edges will chip and you won't have a nice flowing design. So I'm just going to real quickly get this color on here. I'll just do one coat so I can get my,
Well, that's a handy bit of information. Thank you.
oh, good. You know,
Very-
sometimes these classes are more about the tips and the tricks than anything else.
It really is. I mean, you guys, oh, this is such a great opportunity.
Ideas from other people too, you know.
I just think about my customers. I never thought twice about them leaving the tape on too long. Just want to make sure they take it off. Now there's a good,
Yeah, because you want those edges nice and crisp. But
right.
if you wait and forget about it, it will, I mean, you know, if that happens, you can always spritz it with a little bit of water just to moisten it a little bit and then pull the tape off. There's
Okay.
always a way to kind of fix it. It's just, you don't want to have to be the one to figure it out. All right, I dripped a little bit of this color on there instead of taking it off. That is the color. The cutie pie is now going to go on the pink for my dots. Always remember, and this is what I always told my customers, just remember nothing is permanent until it's fired. And even then, sometimes you can manipulate it. So don't worry about it if things don't go exactly as planned. Just turn it into a positive. All right, I'm not going to get my second coat on there because I just want to continue working. So, okay, I do have to wait just a moment to let it set up a little bit. And then I'm going to start pulling my tape off. Then you're going to, if you've already pulled your tape off, you're going to use your cantaloupe in this center section. The sun essentially is 2 good coats of cantaloupe. If you are an uneven glazer like I am, you could go ahead and do 3 coats. So you have a choice of using your script liner. In these larger areas, I tend to like to use my fan brush so that I can lay them down evenly.
I took my tape off. Is that still paint the middle? I mean, just go for it.
Yeah, just stay on the kind of the inside of the pencil line.
Okay.
I think this project really lends itself to a lot of different color palettes too, because there are so many different color palettes that we're seeing now, and more neutrals. You could do it in blues. It doesn't have to be the more stereotypical sun colors. And even this is kind of a softened palette for a rainbow, you know?
Right.
So I just love cantaloupe. Such a pretty color.
This would
Cantaloupe
be a
is
really,
one of my favorites.
yeah. The way you're peeling this tape off is so satisfying to watch. That would be a really great reel or something to do. You know, a teaser for a
Oh.
project or a class or a camp.
People
Clever.
love reveals.
Mhm.
Gotta get a second coat on my.
My internet dropped out. Are we now taking the tape off everywhere?
If you have 2 coats on your rays, yes,
Thank you.
you betcha.
So much fun.
And I kind of go a little slow when I'm pulling it, just in case it does chip it a little bit, you know, I can come back and fix it. But mine's still fairly damp. Doesn't that look good? It's already looking better than it was. I have a dog bowl I'm going to paint, and I think I'm going to put this design on the dog bowl. I think it'll be cute.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cute in the center of it? And then you can just do the stripes like this on the outside.
Very.
So I had some that chipped. Make sure you blow it off of your plate onto, you know, wherever you are, so that it does, the little chips of glaze don't stay on your plate. Tape can definitely be your friend on trying to get, oh man, somebody called me again. All right, I'm gonna use my brush to kind of get my outline going. And if you get outside of the line, or if you drip some glaze where you don't want it, just take a damp sponge, wipe it off. When I had my studio, I usually carried an X-Acto knife with me, because then I could lift the color off of where I didn't want it, especially if it's on top of another piece of glaze. So like on this dot, if I had a little X-Acto or something sharp, I could lift that off, and if I needed to touch up the pink behind it. That was always worked well for me. And the other thing that I love, 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 if you can find these, I think it's Glazers said they had some, or was it in Arizona that said they had them, these old typewriter erasers, because they're so gritty. If I had color, well, I do, I have a little bit of color right there. And all you have to do is just kind of rub it across there, and it'll clean up your line really easy. Marjan,
Wait, what do
I think said they had them.
What is that?
Typewriter eraser. I found some
Old school.
You know, it's totally old school. I don't even know if they make them. Yeah, it was Marjan Ceramics carries these. So they are so worth it, because they can easily clean up drips and drabs or straighten up your line. I love those. I found them in a garage sale, a case of them. Oh my gosh. And I bought everything, and I hoard them now.
Amazon has them.
Oh. I didn't even know they were being made until Marjan said they carried them. There you go, you guys. That's my tip that I used in my studio, that I absolutely loved having those. So the X-Acto knife and the typewriter eraser I kept with me all the time to help customers clean up their work.
Mine was Q-tips.
Yeah. Oh, I just got outside the line.
Oh, need a Q-tip.
Now I am going to switch over to my soft fan brush, because this is going to lay down a nice big area, and I'm a lazy glazer.
Now earlier Teddy mentioned she could have used that really small fan brush on her rays. She could use that here too.
Yep.
Really small, but I do like using that big brush to get the, you know, good coverage.
Can I show something I've been obsessing on?
Yes.
I'll
I
spotlight you.
got these. So this is like a little water bowl. It folds and opens.
Cute.
yeah.
And it, you know, I've just been obsessing on taking better care of the brushes, you know, as you watch customers do that.
Oh,
And I've gotten like little pucks that you can stick in the bowls. Have you seen those?
no. Is it?
I'll show you. My obsession. Where are they? Of course, my staff never listens to me. I got
Yep.
these paint pucks. They look like this, and they have like a little suction cup on back, and I put them in my little bowls, my water bowls. They work well, but they kind of slide around a little bit. But then I found these, which already have those ridges.
Oh, so
Oh,
they
I
can rub
see.
the brush. I didn't see that to begin with.
The texture to get the brushes cleaner.
Yes, it's been working well, cleaning the brush.
Cute.
They're not cheap.
Thanks for sharing. That's great.
It's like we're saying, sometimes it's just the little tips that make your life so much easier that you're just like, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, brushes, that is one of the things that I think everybody's bane of their existence is customers jamming the brushes, shoving them down into the bottom of your water bowl or whatever you're using, and
Staff not cleaning them properly.
they're so expensive. And if you keep them cleaned and primed and, shaped properly, they will last forever. But see, that's also why I like the reflection brush, is I don't have to worry about the customer soaking them and the paint coming off. Sometimes the glue will come undone, but then I just re-glue them. Oh, okay, I'm kind of having fun along with you, even though I'm supposed to be teaching.
That's good.
How many coats are we doing in the sunshine area?
The directions will say 2, but if you are an uneven light glazer, go ahead and put 3 on there. Because personally, I don't want mine to be real streaky. So you do what you need to do for it to look good. I'm going to stick this under a fan, and then I'm going to show you which your next color of your color palette will be for the dots. Okay.
Color are we using for the shine?
The background is cantaloupe.
Thank you.
You betcha. All right, I'm going to get a clean plate out so I can show you the colors that you're going to want for your dots. We're going to use Orange Happy. And I do have to say, we have fun coming up with names on here. Dandelion. We want it to be representative of the color, but still fun. Cracker
I
Jack.
love your names. You're the best names.
Thank you. Oh, that doesn't want to sit. Oh, it's because my glaze is on one side here. Cracker Jack Brown, which is fighting me, and Pinky Swear. Okay, you guys, we're pretty much should be stocked up again on the pinks. I know that we were out for a long time, but most of the pinks should be back in stock at your distributors, okay? But not in 2 ounce, 8 ounce. So on the dots, we did try to alternate on here. So I'm going to say, artist choice, but Pinky Swear is on top of the pink. That kind of makes sense. Cracker Jack Brown is on top of Tiger Tail. The Dandelion, oh, is that the right one? Yeah, Dandelion, which is a little bit darker, is on top of your yellow. So yellow on top of yellow, pink on top of pink, brown on top of brown. And what am I missing? Pinky Swear. I just said that. Orange on top of orange. So basically what we did is we just took a color in the same color family, but one shade darker, okay? So pink on top of pink, orange on top of orange, brown on top of brown, yellow on top of yellow. So in the directions, it's going to say, use the small end of your pencil to do smaller dots, and then the eraser side to do bigger dots. If you've been doing dots before, you know that if you dip it in the glaze and then dot it on, as you continue dotting, it's going to get smaller because you're running out of glaze. So that's an alternative. Many of you have little plastic things that have different size dots. You can use that if you've been doing mandalas. Did I say that right? Mandala?
Mandala.
Mandala. Yeah, I was thinking of Nelson as soon as I said that. I'm like, it's mandala, not
He has
Mandela.
his own glaze technique.
Yeah. So with dots, because you are regularly, dip and glaze, dot, dip, dot, it stays pretty thick. You only have to do it once. You don't need to go over your dots again. You can even use the back of a brush. I mean, this one would work nicely. Which way am I going? You can do different size brushes to dip and dot. Artist choice, my friends, artist choice. All right, so I'm gonna dip and dot along with you.
The orange happy is what goes on top of the cantaloupe.
Yes,
50
orange
on
happy on
yeah.
top of,
There you
yeah,
go.
pinky square, dandelion.
I think this would be fun too. Like on mine, I put large dots and small dots, but you could even start out with larger dots in the middle and go less and less, spread them out more the further out you go. Could be kind of fun too.
Right. I think if you notice though, that the key thing is just really fill up that stripe with dots.
Yeah.
So we're going to do all of our dots, let those get set a little bit. We'll do design work in between our stripes, but we'll talk about that in a mo. The back of this is painted all black. We're not going to do that today because that is definitely something that you can do later, or if you're waiting for us to get to the next step, you can put 3 coats of black, either foundations black or stroke and coat. And quite frankly, if you don't want it to be black, you want it to be that cantaloupe, you just do what you need to do.
Oh God, I love dotting.
It's kind of mesmerizing, isn't it?
It's one of the only things in the world that I do where my head is clear. Like nothing is running through my mind.
Yes.
There's a question if you could talk a little bit more about brush care.
Ooh, I'd be happy to. Brush care. So let me get some soap and I'll show you what I do.
I have brushes that I've had for so long, for 20 years, because I'm so particular about them. So I'm all about some brush care.
Yes. Okay, so right now, Mako does not have a brush cleaner. We're going to implement it again pretty soon, and I highly recommend it. When we said we were going to discontinue it, I hoarded a bunch of bottles of it. But until that comes back out, you can get a nice soft detergent. This one is a Clorox. I usually use Dawn, or you can use baby shampoo. Mako's brushes are natural hair brushes, so they're goat hair. Some might be something else, but it's real hair, not synthetic. So you would treat it like you would your own hair. You want to get it wet first to prime it, and then add your product, okay? So I'm gonna put a little bit in here. And then if you put a little bit of soap in your hand or on a palette, you can, and wiggle your brush into this. When you do that, you're really working that soap all the way down the bristles so that it works in there, and then down into the ferrule also. When you get glaze in the ferrule, that's when you get that Vulcan greeting brush where the hairs just split and they don't want to work.
Yes.
So yeah, I hate those things.
That
Those are the
one?
ones, yeah, those are the ones that if I see an adult continue to jam my brushes, I will say, you're going to get this brush if you keep doing that. The kids are really good. They're like, oh, she said not to do that. And then just take your fingers and work the soap into your brush. That will help clean it. Now, if you do have one of those really split looking really bad brushes, like this one is kind of getting that way. It's not looking so good.
Mine looks like that.
Yeah. What you can do is leave the soap on. So I just got this wet. I'm going to hula this bad boy in here. Get that soap down into the ferrule all the way down. And then I have shaped it back to form and then leave it overnight. If they're really bad, I'll leave it overnight. If they're not really bad, what we can do now is take this and rinse this out with just some cool or slightly warm. You don't want to use hot because that's when you start loosening the glue, and rinse these out. Now, here's the tip. Most of us want to store our brushes like this when they're wet. Don't do that, because what happens is all the stuff and the frit goes back down into the ferrule. So once you wash them, lay them flat so all that moisture and stuff comes out of the brush and it goes back to a pretty shape. So I do try to kind of shape them up, clean them up, and I only leave the soap in the ones that are really bad.
Daily, Teddy, would you say daily?
You know, in my studio, I did it once a week because
Okay.
it was time consuming and I had tons of them. If they're your own brushes, you can clean them up nicely like this every time, you know, but at least once a week, get your brushes cleaned. What I would do is whoever ticked me off the most that week had to clean brushes.
You're reading my mind. I just need to find a day, like, is it once a week or is it twice a week? And I just say on Sundays, second shift, clean the brushes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm going to rinse this soap out. Yeah, I mean, in that way, you know that they're shaped, they're ready, they're conditioned, and that will extend the life of your brushes considerably. I mean, it's not a cheap investment to buy them.
Quality, it's the quality of them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing worse than getting a crappy brush.
Right, because your brush is your tool that does it all for you. And then once you know, have it, you know, if this is flaking, like that still wants to fight me a little bit, I might leave it a little bit. I didn't clean it good, but I might work with that one a little bit longer and leave it overnight with the soap so that it kind of forms its shape again. Okay, is everybody still dip dotting?
I could definitely see this project for like a ladies' night or a sip and paint type thing because it's simple enough, and the dots, they can just dot away and talk.
Okay, yeah. All right, I'm going to keep dotting. I just looked and it looks like you guys are still dip dotting, so I'm going to jump in there because I want the sample. I don't want to mess it up.
Can I tell you guys what I'm doing because I didn't have all of the colors here?
Yes.
I had teal next time handy because I'm at home. And so my dots are all teal.
Nice.
Oh, okay. That'll probably look good too.
Great.
See that you can, there's so many different ways that you can make this your own and make it pretty.
And it's a good opportunity when you have those customers, kids, adults that want to do something a little different. This is a great design for that.
Oh, good. Well, and this is where if you have a mother and child also, the kid can do the dots. You know, mom can do all the taping. They can kind of help with painting some of the lines. Sometimes the kids are just sitting there because the parents have taken over the project.
Or it's great for a set too. You know, a family could come in and each do a different plate with a different little saying in there, or they could have their son, you know, a different position on the plate or something.
Yeah, you could probably even take the sun out if you wanted to. Oh, I think I just got, no, I did it right. Like, oh, well.
Kirsten said she's done a rainbow, and she said that, Teddy, you may remember that she doesn't do orange.
That's funny.
Everybody has their preference. There's just so many options with this project, though, I think.
Yes. All right. So I'm just, cutie pie is going on my pink.
I'd say different palettes, different positioning of the sun. You can do a whole set. You can have people come to a series. And you add water to these if they start to dry up. Oh, the stroking coats. If you mean on your palette, I would probably squeeze a little bit more of the glaze in there and just stir it up a little bit, but you could add a little drop of water in there. Too much water will make it more watercolory though.
Ooh, I might have to have a snack while you're teaching the next one. I just got hungry. I'm trying to hurry also so that I'm ready for the next step when everybody else is.
Right.
So my
found a-
dots are very uneven and I like it.
I like it too.
Thank you. Validation.
Oh, absolutely. And like the dip dot 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 where you get the different sizes is just the best.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to work hard at it.
Yeah, because it gets tiring. It's not tiring, but you're like dip dot, dip dot. If you can do, you get the different sizes, you get the big one first, then you get under the small. It's really fun. You could even work that into your pattern or make a pattern.
Right. And people love it when you show them. When I want to start dotting, you say, "Oh, let me just show you." Oh my God, they love it.
Well, and it's
They
so
love watching it get smaller. And I'll say, "You don't think I got that? You like the mandala?" I'm like, "You don't think I did that?" You know, like,
Yes, they do. Your magic.
they do, and then you become more human to them, and they like it.
Right.
Yes. Well, dots can be on edges and to design work. You know, I like to put them around an edge. If your painting is just a little uneven, it breaks the line of vision so that it doesn't look like it's uneven. Okay, I'm going a little rogue here. I'm putting a light on top of dark because I went with Cutie Pie Coral instead of the brown because I couldn't find it. But it's my plate and I like it. I felt like Stuart Smalley there for a moment.
All right.
Uh-huh.
You're going old school on that reference. And gosh darn it, people like me.
Was that a 90s or your late
Saturday
80s
Night Live.
reference?
It might be. It could be 80s even.
Maybe Saturday Night Live skit. And he's looking in the mirror, talking to himself. God.
Oh, one more. All right, I'm going to put this under. All right, my friends, I'm almost done. So if you are ready for the next step, I think we should go ahead and put the lettering on your sun. Okay. One, that's going to give me a little bit more time for my dots to dry. And two, mine is fairly damp. So you've got a couple of options on getting your words on the plate. When it's still damp like this, like, where'd my circle go? I'm going to cut this out and just go with happy, okay? Because why shouldn't you be happy? When the glaze is still damp, you can kind of trace over your pattern and it'll do an indentation in the glaze where you can see it. And I'll show you that. I usually like to use an ink pen because it just presses a little bit harder than a pencil. So I can position this where I want it and then just trace the outside of the lines. Yeah. I'm just going to do the H so I can show you. Now, oh, that worked out really good. So because my glaze is still damp, you can see the line here. Now I'll be able to paint within that line with my tuxedo black. Smaller areas like this, if I do a little drop and fill, I can get away with one coat. The black is so heavily pigmented. Now, if this was totally dry, then what I would do is I would use my clay carbon paper, which we do have in the supply list, and I'm looking for it on my desk here. Looks like Mama forgot to get that one too. What you would do is you take your clay carbon paper, you would put it on the, well, first of all, you have to test it because only one side of the clay carbon paper. Do you have any handy, Krista?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay. All right. So it's pink and only one side transfers. So you have to test it first. So you would take your clay carbon paper, put it on the bisque, do it, take your pencil and mark it. And if it leaves a line, then that's the correct side up. Krista's going to demonstrate.
Yep, not the right side.
All right, so she turns it over.
A brush or something, just something that makes a mark.
Yeah.
So this side, it's hard for you to see on the thing. So you can do pencil mark there, pencil mark here. And when you can see it, I'll write on the top, like wherever I did it, I'll write top. So I'll know that's where it goes down, the top side here and the further side down. So then when you're going to trace it, to continue what Teddy's saying, since I have the control right now, I've determined which side needs to go down. The bottom side is it just feels a little different too, not quite as smooth to me anyway. And I would take my pattern and put it on top of that and then just trace.
Yeah.
What about regular carbon paper?
It has wax in it. You have to watch those black carbon paper, because that'll transfer the wax to your project. So the clay carbon paper that we offer is nice when you want to transfer something you may have found, any kind of pattern can go onto your bisque. It does not work well if it's over damp glaze. So where my son is still damp, that clay carbon paper is not going to work. So that's why we're showing you a couple of different options of tracing into the glaze, using clay carbon paper. And some of you may use tissue paper, where you put the tissue paper over, let's say Happy, take a Sharpie, trace it. Now you have your pattern, and then you use that marker again to trace it onto your bisque. Just be careful if you're using Sharpies. I have had some not burn off. Okay. But I've also had some that do burn off. So we're going to give you different options. Just look out for wax in some of the regular store-bought.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Okay, is there a reason why the pink carbon paper is used with bisque versus the gray/black carbon paper used on canvas? Now, I'm not as familiar with tracing onto canvas, but I feel like, is that graphite paper though that they use?
I think so, and that's the same thing. It's going to leave a residue that rejects your glaze.
Yeah, so Kaylin is saying it's graphite. So I have used graphite paper on my bisque before, but I do prefer this because you don't have to worry about any waxiness, and it is a little different surface using that canvas than this.
Yeah, and this is this clay carbon paper was developed for ceramics.
Exactly. Yeah. Comes in a pack of 10 sheets, I believe.
12.
No, 12. Thank you.
Totally reusable, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes, definitely reusable.
Good question. Thank you.
I mean, I've used my sheets, like I'll use them over and over. And as long as you don't get paint on the back, like if Teddy had put it down on her piece, it's still damp and it kind of gets that glaze on it. That kind of inhibits a little bit. But if you just use it over and over on biscuits, totally fine.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes if you try to use clay carbon paper over a dark surface, it doesn't always show as easily, especially as old as I am. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll trace it on, and then I'll take a water-based marker, those cheap markers from the dollar store, and go over my line again, just so I can see it a little easier.
Yeah, and one thing I do with tracing patterns sometimes is, instead of, like Teddy was using a ballpoint pen, the patterns are generally black. I'll use like a colored ballpoint pen, like a red or something, so I can see where I've gone, because sometimes with a pencil it doesn't show up as much, and definitely with a black pen, but using a red pen or something definitely makes a difference when you're tracing.
Excellent point. Yeah, that helps. It's all these little tips and tricks, whatever works for you. All right, so
Teddy?
Yes, ma'am.
If you do the clay carbon pattern onto bisque, and you leave your pattern on because you put it on ahead of time and it's open to the sunlight, it can disappear.
That's a little frustrating, especially if you just spend a lot of time.
Yes.
Good to know. Thank you. Well, see, that's where I probably would like to use my water-based marker to go over it. So then it'll be, show later. And if you do use a water-based marker and the color spreads out a little bit, don't worry about it. It's going to burn off.
The other item is that if you've got the clay carbon and you bought it in a ring, pack of 500 or whatever it is, and it's not the quality pink stuff, if it sits out in the sunlight and the top side is exposed, that which is supposed to be onto the bisque when you're copying, that too will also disappear in the sunlight.
Good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And typically we all learn this because it's happened to us, right?
Right. That's my speech when I say things to my customers, and I say, now I know that might seem obvious, but everything I speak is something I've done myself.
Same here. Same here. Okay, I've switched over to a smaller brush, a detailer, just because some of my lines are tiny here. What I'm doing is more of a drop and fill. I'm really lifting up quite a bit of glaze onto my brush. I'm letting it touch down, and I'm just really kind of moving it around. You can still, for those of you that have really pretty brush strokes and are comfortable with writing, I just got outside the line. Go ahead and do it your way. I find that small areas, if I do more of a drop and fill and just move my glaze around, I get it on there thick enough that one coat is going to be more than sufficient. And again, this black is so heavily pigmented that if you only do one coat like I'm doing here of black, it's not going to be gray. It's still going to be black.
I'm sorry, is that tuxedo?
Yes, it is. Sorry, tuxedo. SC15. So put trace on or apply your word, whatever you want. If you want to create your own word and just want to freehand it, that's fine too. I am not that talented. The ideas in my head do not always translate into my hand. So I need to have something traced on.
Will white show up on Cutie Pie Coral pretty brightly?
Yes, it will, especially when you're dipping it on like that, dotting it on, it goes on heavy. Yeah, it'll look great.
Okay, thank you.
You guys are asking good questions, and I really appreciate it.
Really appreciate you being here.
Oh, thanks.
I mean it.
Oh man.
Teddy?
Yeah. Yes.
Somebody just asked about using the French dimension, and you're obviously using tuxedo. Will you tell us your thoughts on using French dimension on a plate that might be used for
dinnerware
other than decorative? Yeah, dinnerware. Yes.
That's
decorative.
Yeah, that is funny that you asked that, because we had a meeting this morning and that was one of the questions and topic of discussion it's food safe, which that in itself to me is a confusing. When you see food safe, I automatically assume that means you can put it on a plate. Well, it doesn't. Food safe is a regulatory term that means in the fired state, it is basically not going to harm anyone. Okay. So you can go to Mako's website under resource. Oh, Pucky, I just dropped that. I hate that when that happens. See, this is where I'd use my X-Acto knife and lift it off. So anyway, I'm sorry. I had a little meltdown just then. For those of you that are new, notice what I'm doing is I'm taking a palette knife, something sharp, and because it's on top of another color, I can lightly scrape this black off of here without smearing it. I would never take a damp sponge with black and wipe it, because then you just move it everywhere. If you gouge down a little too deep, then you can add a little bit more, which I'm going to have to have my cantaloupe. I'm going to have to put that on there. Okay, sorry, kids. So back to food safe. Go to Mako's website, resources, and it'll talk about dinnerware safe versus food safe. So Food safe is a regulatory term in the fired state. Dinnerware safe is actually talking about, can you put it on a mug or the center of a plate? And the definition really is typically, does the glaze have a textured finish? So crystal glazes, jungle gems, snowfall, classic crackles, those all are glazes that have a textured surface that can trap bacteria, especially in your low fire on earthenware pieces, because we're not supposed to put earthenware in a microwave or dishwasher. It's hard to properly sanitize it. So if you have glazes that can trap bacteria, we would not consider that dinnerware safe. So we're just like, because for those of you that are fairly new, Duncan manufactured French Dimensions, and they wanted to get out of the ceramics business. Larry Duncan wanted to retire. None of his family, his kids, wanted to take on the ceramics division. They were more interested in the hobby division. So they approached Mako to see if we would be interested in buying their company. And what actually transpired is we purchased the formulas of their glazes, and we're really creating and manufacturing the best of Duncan, the top sellers. French Dimension White and Black fell into that category. So right now we're waiting to hear from our lab, our ceramic engineers, to find out if we consider French Dimensions a dinnerware safe product. And because what our sticking point is, well, it's textured, yeah, but it is also fritted. Does it have an uneven firing surface? Well, doesn't that kind of depend on if somebody applies it with breaks in it, you know, or is it one long smooth application? Because if you look at all of Duncan's previous samples, they are on the center of a plate. So we're
You want to see?
yeah, so we're waiting to see what the lab says, and I'm hoping
She's over there painting. Look.
Oh, right.
That's-
We could use them as the dots on this plate, and then it would be raised and really cute.
Except that
You can unmute yourself, Teddy.
yourself. So my answer to that was a long-winded answer, is we are waiting to hear what the lab says so that we can have a definitive answer from Mako on whether we consider French Dimensions dinnerware safe or not. Because I'm also putting together a video on how to use French Dimensions, and that was my sticking point, is I want to be consistent with the rest of the philosophy of the company.
Thank you, Teddy.
You're welcome.
You answered the question the way it needed to be answered right now.
Oh, appreciate it.
Because I know what Duncan told us.
Did they say
and
it was food that was dinnerware safe?
No, we were all told it was not food safe.
Okay.
So you guys have to make that decision yourself.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. I'm just
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'm bummed that I dropped my brush, but for those that are of you that are new, that was a good learning experience. And that's again, when your customer freaks out, almost like you just, you know, ripped their 4-year-old's arm off and all it was they dropped the brush, is nothing's permanent till it's fired. You can fix just about anything fairly easily.
Or it can become a happy accident.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes things turn out even better that way. This is scheduled to end around 4 o'clock Eastern time today. Someone asked what time it's supposed to end. And of course, if you have to check out, you know, a lot of people are in their studios now, or you have other things going on. You know, Teddy is going to send out the recording later. So if you need to catch up on something, you can do that. But we certainly want you to stay as long as you can, because we love having you here.
Yeah, this one takes a little bit longer. The next one is pretty fast. The Elements project, that's where you're really going to want a fan because it's very easy to do. We just have dry time between layers. So we tried to make some that are a little bit more detailed and some that are just pretty easy, you know, giving different.
Yeah, it's always a challenge for us, because people come to pottery camp and they want to learn new things to use in their studio, but then sometimes they also want to be challenged for their own learning. So we try to balance it out where it's not too hard, not too easy to figure out just by looking at it, all the different boxes we're trying to tick there. And with all of our projects, as I've said earlier, we want you to learn the techniques and then take it and make it your own.
Most definitely. And then post them because I love, I just got out of the line again. I love to see the stuff that you guys do.
Yeah, definitely. Just imagine yourself virtually walking around the classroom and seeing what people are doing. My favorite.
And with permission, I have stolen some of those ideas.
For sure. Lots of great ideas.
I like the technique of using the pen, how it dug into the paint because it seems to like hold it in as I'm painting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like a little border.
Yeah, yeah.
I am not a great letterer.
Oh, lettering is a skill, I'll tell you. I mean, I am very jealous of anybody that can just sit down and do lettering beautifully. It's not easy. Outlining is not easy. It takes some practice and the touch.
I know I have a staff and she's wonderful, but she's really makes a lot of mistakes. But man, she can letter like no tomorrow. That's why you're here, right?
Exactly.
You put her where she does her best work.
Yep, everyone. That's what I do.
Right.
Why set anyone up for failure? This is where you work best.
Good point. All right. I am going to touch up. Oh, no, I made another mistake. Well, I'm just going to teach you all kinds of stuff today by my own errors. So I had black on my brush. I'm going to kind of wipe that back. Brush with no glaze and just a little bit of water can also clean up a mess, which I'm doing right now. Let's see if I can do it properly this time. So I'm going to have a couple of times going over that to make sure that it's thick enough. All right. So we're going to let this dry, but I'm going to talk about what we're going to do next. I'm going to put this under a fan. So you can see, because where we had tape, we have all the white bisque showing. But on our finished sample, it's nice and colorful. I'm going to take this tape off right here. So our next step is to put some design work where the white is. You can do what you want. The large plate has just a straight line. This one, we did dashes. And this is going to be with the tuxedo black. And on the mug, there are wavy lines, which probably for the way I paint, this is going to be better for me. It's a little undulating line coming down. So you can do anything that you want to put the line on there. Then the last step is we're going to take our foundation shears. Okay, now on the technique, we have two colors, and I know that there are several of you that couldn't get it, so you only have one color. So what we're going to do is use these, if you have both colors, to blend them. We're going to start out with dry champagne, which is kind of clear. And then we're going to apply it over the entire plate. Now, what's cool about the shears is even though this dry champagne is going to go over these colors, it really doesn't change them much. And then we're going to blend into the orange. So, or maybe I did it backwards. Yeah, I did. So look here, you can see how it's light. That's the dry champagne. We're right about here. We start applying the orange slice over this. So the entire top of this plate is going to get 2 coats of the dry champagne. I mean, the foundation shears.
Question.
Yes.
So are we doing the champagne and the orange slice just with the white spaces?
It can actually go over everything, which is what I like. So we don't have to worry about staying within the lines. So here I really, over the shine area, there's only 1 coat of the orange slice. So I did 2 coats here, blending up into the dry champagne. Let me show you something else, see if this helps. I'll show you a little bit. So if I had a studio, I would use these foundation shears for handprints. So in this example, did the handprint in dark blue, which is probably Moody Blue, used stamps, did design work, and then we put 2 coats of the light blue sheer over it. It didn't change the color of the handprint. It didn't cover up the design work, but it gives a nice background. So if I had a studio, this is how I would do all of my handprints, because people usually want a colorful background. And if you've been doing this a while, you know, you paint the background, then the kid smears the handprint, then you have to clean up the background again. By being able to work directly on the bisque, put all the design work, and then putting the sheer over it, you get a twofer, essentially, a background and no changing this. The handprint. And that's what we're doing here is I'm going to start out with orange. You can do it either way. If you want to start toward the top and work in, or if you want to work from the bottom up. The orange slice, but we're going to do our black first. I'm just kind of talking right now, okay? We'll take our soft fan brush. I'm going to use my medium-sized one. Let me clean it off first. All right. I'm going to demonstrate on the one that's finished because I don't have my black details on my plate that I'm working on. So I'm just going to demonstrate, okay? So I have this. This is the orange slice. It's translucent like a sheer curtain. Just think of a sheer curtain, how you can see through it, but it adds a little bit of color. So I can cover this area. You can go over the shine, this. I would only do 1 coat. I tend to follow the plate, sorry. So, but since we're working up, so I'm going to work this way and I'm going to come up about halfway on my raise. This is with the orange. Of course, it's going to stick a little bit better because it'll be on bisque, all right?
What about, I have lemon ice.
Oh, that'd be pretty.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that'll work. And then I'm going to take my dry champagne, and I typically don't paint out of the pot. I just didn't have it poured out. Just going to show you, Krista was saying poke a hole. This is not really meant for a pour spout. What this is to release pressure so that when we're shipping them, they don't spill. But I'm going to go ahead and use that and pour some out. And now that I have my 1 coat on there, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to overlap and blend up a little bit. So you want more of the 2 coats where it's just raw bisque. Does this make sense? We're just kind of blending it. So I'm going down into my orange slice a little bit and covering that. We'll do 2 coats.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you could see that. I just realized I was holding it for me more so than you. So you go like this. All right. But your first step, my friends, is to do all the fun little black design on there, whether you want dots, slashes, squiggly lines, straight line.
Stressful. Okay.
So we want to make sure that the black is dry before we apply our sheer glaze over it. And a lot of people freak out because they do all this design work, you know, like when we did this and then I put 2 coats of the blue sheer over it, it just looks like it's blue and they think, oh my God, you just covered the handprint. It doesn't. It will fire translucent or sheer like that.
Teddy, to your point about that handprint, I love that the customer can finish the piece for you. They put their sheer on there and then you throw it in the kiln.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
when
I would totally have Mako's 6x6 canvas with different color combinations, like the blue with the blue, the pink with a girl's handprint, whether it's a burgundy-ish or whatever. You know, look at some colors. I'll tell you, I put some together and they were heinous, you know, but I wanted to check and see which colors look good. The ice, the lemon ice like somebody had, that's really pretty. That one looks good.
that would be easy to put some samples on a little tile so people could just pick out what they wanted, you know, so you don't have to think about it. Say, here's like 6 options, pick one.
Yeah, that's why I like the canvas, is because it looks finished and it upsells more so than a tile. All right, so I'm going to go with a squiggly line because I think I can manage that and it still look good. And just to point out on our sample, the embellishments with black did not go down this far. If it does, if you already did that, that's oh, I forgot to put dots around my sun right here. It keeps it more of a ray look. Also, if you guys notice, a lot of time what I do to help steady my hand, especially when I'm doing outlining or long lines like this, I use my little finger to help give my hand steadiness. I just lay it down. And that way I can kind of stay a little bit more up on the tip of my brush. Mine is getting fat and thin. So if you stay more on the tip of the brush, it's thinner. The harder you press, the wider it is. You can also add a little bit of water to your brush. And oh, I just put my in coffee. How many times do you guys do that? Put my brush in the coffee.
No way.
Gosh.
I love it.
You can kind of pull it and thin it out a little bit. And you can't see what I'm doing yet. There you go. So that also helps it flow a little bit when you're outlining or trying to just do a little decor.
Will coffee harm your piece?
Nah, it'll burn off. Trust me, I've done this so many times over the years. And then I know I did it and I turn around and drink the coffee. It's like, seriously, pay attention. And see, and then that's non-toxic, so I don't have to worry about it.
That's right.
You will get that question 1.5 million times. If you're doing handprints, people will ask you if it will hurt their baby. You know.
God. First thing I say when I'm pushing it, all non-toxic. I don't even let them get a chance to ask.
Oh, exactly. You know, and they still will ask you 4 and 5 times. And I'm thinking,
Right.
you really think that I would do something that is going to harm your baby where you're going to, you know, have to sue me?
And ruin my business.
Exactly.
Care about your baby. Did you say you did the handprint in a sheer, or you did the handprint in like a stroke and coat and then went over top it with a sheer?
Right. We did it with stroke and coat because it's so heavily pigmented that you can get a good handprint in the darker colors with one pressing. And then you go over it with 2 coats. Two coats works best with the sheer. 3 coats will still work, but it's going to be a little bit more solid than 2 coats, you know? But that's my favorite way of doing it, so that you get a lot of color, because you will get somebody that says, you know, I want this.
Teddy, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I
I was just saying, to being a totally only child, but I think this is stinking cute.
It's adorable. I'm jealous that I didn't do wavy. I have key lime and lemon ice.
I'd have to look at key lime. I don't know how dark that is. When I look at the palette, I go with the very lightest. The lemon lime is awesome.
All right, I'll just, I have floral pink and lemon ice. So I can just
Floral pink
lemonize.
is pretty. Yeah, floral pink is pretty also.
That would be great.
And if you have one color, you guys, just do the whole plate in that one color. You don't have to do the ombre, but you know, since it's a workshop, we try to make it a little bit more interesting. So on my big plate, which I covered, we had the orange down below going up to dry champagne. On this sample, on the salad plate, she reversed it a little bit. We have the orange slice going into dry champagne. It's very cool, very pretty. I really like this set. Need some dots on here. And so once you get your 2 coats of the foundation sheer over the front of the plate, we're just going to set that aside, and you can work on the back and the rim of it at your convenience if you're waiting for us to catch up with you, or towards the end of this. I just don't want to spend the time doing 3 coats of whatever color you choose when we have some other cool things to work on. So because I had a fan, mine dried fairly fast. I could be putting on my foundation shears had I not forgotten to do my dots around the sun. There we go. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you use your soft fan brush when you're applying the foundation sheer. Colors in here.
Oh, they're so fun. I like that one. Kirsten, I like the blues and greens. Oh, and on a mug. That's really fun, Angela.
Oh, that's pretty. Susan,
Oh,
you have
nice.
a purple in there, it looks like.
Oh, look at Mel's. Hers is on the, it's on the side. It says shine on, and it's like coming off the side
Oh,
instead of.
that's
Oh,
cute.
yeah, I like the side one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun. I would not have thought of that.
And Karen's little squiggly lines. Are those squiggles and dots or just squiggles, Karen?
So I only had chevron tape. So I used
Oh,
chevron tape and then I did the dashes and the chevrons.
I love the
that's
chevron
fun.
tape. That's awesome.
So I have
Ah.
a center of mind because as I live in France, I need to think of some phrase that I can put in that makes sense in this country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice stuff.
I might just do a smiley.
Yeah, why not?
Hmm.
I mean, our design is
Say
such
la
a
vie? No.
suggestion. Claire, what color? Yours looks like rainbow colors, Claire, is it? From my perspective.
Look at her amaryllis is on a square one with words in between on the rays. That's
Oh, how
cool.
fun.
Keep holding it because I'm gonna.
Here,
I'm
I'll
I'm scrolling, so I can't see.
Here, I just put it up there so you can see it a little bit easier.
Very
Isn't
nice.
that cute?
That is so cute.
Thank you.
Clever.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love all the summer words. That is so
Yeah.
good.
Me too. I
Yeah,
want all
see, I
of
don't
those
think
right
I would have
now.
thought of that either.
Very creative. You could
Yeah.
do family names, right? Siblings, family.
Ooh, yeah. Family
shower,
quotes. Ooh.
something in the mid. It could be a shower or something in the middle. Could have the date or.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hey, look, you're right there, Claire. You were on screen. Check her out. Look how cute.
That is cute.
Oh, I like how you dotted it. I like how you mixed up the rays. Clever.
Yeah, that's very fun.
No,
Yeah, I didn't have some of the colors, so I've kind of mixed
all
it up.
good.
I have no idea
No,
what they're
but
going to look
like
like.
you did the wavy line and the dotted line and the straight line for the black. I like that.
I do too.
Bye,